Hi guys, today I have for you a hip stretch series. These are all individual videos that appear on the YouTube channel somewhere else, but I wanted to link them together because there's a particular order that I like to do them in, and it's just a really helpful sequence to run through. So our first stretch for the hip stretch series is going to be our deep lunge stretch. So for the deep lunge stretch, start off with a fairly good split between your feet. You want a pretty good distance here. And then you're going to settle forward into this stretch basically as far as possible. Now when you're in this position, you're doing your best to just relax, hang out, and stretch this bottom hip. Now I like to swivel a little bit, just create a little bit of movement in all of these positions. That's helpful. Now when you're doing this, it's really important to make sure you're not collapsing into the forward leg or overextending and putting too much into your back, okay? Now I recommend holding each of these stretches for 1 minute per side. All right, stretch number one, that's the deep lunge. Stretch number two, we're gonna call it the active hip flexor stretch. Active hip flexor stretch is very similar to your deep lunge. This time, you're not gonna have quite as much distance between your feet, and you're gonna start by squeezing your glute on the stretch side. So squeeze that glute, get that guy on, and then pull yourself forward. You're not gonna get nearly as deep with this, but you'll feel the stretch in different places. Again, make sure to keep a tall chest, not collapsing, not overarching, and make sure to keep that glute active at all times. Now with this one, you can kind of pump the glute, squeeze, back it off, squeeze, back it off, to create a little bit of movement there. And again, hold that for 1 minute per side. All right, the next one, I don't have a fancy name for it, so I'm going to call it the alternative hip flexor stretch, or the TFL stretch. For this one, you're going to kneel with your bottom leg rotated as such. So you have this 90-degree angle between your legs, okay? Once we have that 90-degree angle, we are just going to lunge forward into this stretch. Again, keep your chest up. It's okay if you face this way. It's okay if you face this way. Just don't collapse. Don't overarch. Now with this stretch, you can feel it in a lot of different places. When you first start, it's probably going to be here on your inner thigh adductor. You might feel it in this calf. You might feel it in this hip or this part of the groin. All of that's fair game. Okay? Alternative hip flexor. Then the last stretch for this series is going to be the 90-90. So for this, very important to make sure you get the 90-degree angle in the front and the 90-degree angle in the back. Okay? Once you have that, you're going to dip your chest directly over the front knee. Now from there, this hand, the one that's closest to your foot, you're going to crawl out as far as you can until you get a little more stretch, until you lock the stretch in just a little bit more. Then final step is without lifting your chest, don't do that. You're going to turn and look over your shoulder. Okay, that's your 90-90. And that's the hip stretch series. We got 4 stretches: your deep lunge, your active hip flexor, your alternative hip flexor TFL, and your 90-90. You're going to work them for 1 minute per side for each stretch. Rock and roll.